Hello everyone, welcome to Unshackling Sudokus and Puzzles. I'm Kishore and I'm going to solve a stretched Thermo Sudoku created by Edward Lebo. This Sudoku has been taken from his blog Sudoku, and I will add the link to his blog in the description of the video. Please do check out his blog for many of his Sudokus. I've solved a few of his Sudokus and they were all wonderful to solve. This Sudoku is basically a practice for the Sudoku Grand Prix round 2, which has started already as I'm making this video. And this is weighed about 50 points, I think, in the round. And I'll start the Sudoku shortly. The link to solve this is in the description. Please do give it a try and come back and watch the video. The rules are a slight variation of a Thermo Sudoku. Each row, each column and 3x3 box of the grid has digits 1 to 9, no repetition, standard classic rules apply. And apart from that, variant of Thermo Sudoku rules apply. So what do I mean by that? So in a normal Thermo Sudoku, the digits will strictly increase starting from this round bulb, right? So let's say if you have a 1 here, then you must have 2 or more here, you must have 3 or more here, 4 or more, 5, 6, 7, 8 and goes on. But in a stretched Thermo Sudoku, digits need not strictly increase. So which means that provided the Sudoku rules permit, for example, if you have 1 and 2 here, this need not be greater than this cell. So it can be 2. It just should not decrease again. Let's say you cannot have 1. Of course, this is not permitted due to Sudoku rules. But I'm just saying, let's say this thermo is continuing this way towards the right. So you cannot have a 1 there, right? It just should not decrease. It can remain the same. So one implication of this rule is that it throws your standard ideas of a thermo out of the window. You'll understand what I mean by this. And this is not a live solve. In fact, I attempted this Sudoku for a video earlier and I broke it and I could not get the time to continue that, so I completed it later on and I'm making a video again. This is a really good Sudoku, so I'll start the Sudoku now. The best way I think to start this Sudoku is to use what I would call the range marking, and by that I mean you take a long thermo and start writing the minimum most digits possible according to the Thermo and Sudoku rules. So for example, if you start from this 2-shaped thermo, the minimum that can go here is 1. This is minimum 2. This would be minimum 2 again because digits can repeat. So this is minimum 3. And of course this can be the same as that. So this is minimum 3. And all these digits cannot repeat because they are in the same box. So we can just write the minimum 5, 6, 7 and 8. Now that you have started from the bulb and wrote all the minimum digits, let's do the same from the reverse direction. We'll start writing all the maximum digits starting from that. So this maximum would be 9. It can maximum only be 9. So this is maximum 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, and notice that these 2 digits can repeat. So instantly we should not write a 3 here, right? 4 can repeat here. So this can be 4 and digits can't repeat. So this is maximum 3 and digits can repeat here. So this is maximum 3 and this is maximum 2. So you can notice that by writing the minimum and the maximum values in each cell, we know what exactly are the digits that can go into all of these cells, right? So let us do the same thing here. This would be minimum 1, and notice that at this point what I did in my earlier solve was, this is a really important point to make note of because this would break the Sudoku. In my earlier solve, by instinct I went to a 2 here, but notice that this can be 1. Because in Thermo Sudokus, people who have solved a lot of Thermo Sudokus, their brain is attuned to thinking that 1 and 9 can never be in the middle of a thermometer because you can't have a digit which is lower than a 1 nor a digit which is greater than a 9. However, in this variant of Thermo, you can have a 1 or a 9 even in the middle of a thermometer. So that is the speciality of the Sudoku. So do remember that. Do not right away eliminate 1 and 9 from the middle of the thermo, as that would break this Sudoku. This is a really important point to remember in this Sudoku. So this is minimum 1, and this cannot be 1 again because that would repeat digits. So this is minimum 2, 3, 4, and notice that this can be the same as that. So this is minimum 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now let's do the same thing from the opposite direction, as that would give the range of the digits 8, 7, 6, 5, and 5 can repeat here. So this is 5, 4, 3, and 3 can again repeat here. So this is 3. Now you can have 3 here, but that would clash with the maximum value here. So this can be maximum 2, right? So we have written all the values inside the thermometer. So let us just continue, convert them to center candidates now, because I feel comfortable. And one more point to remember when you write the center candidates is, let's say you have written the range as 4 and 6, for example, in this cell. Do not instantly convert it to 4, 6, because that would break the Sudoku again. The only thing that you get from that corner is that 4 is the minimum value and 6 is the maximum value, which means that there could also be 5 inside the cell. So that is one thing to remember. But in our case, you can see that all of these digits are one adjacent to each other, so which means there is no middle digit. So this is 1, 2, 2, 3, 2, 3, 3, 4, 3, 4, 4, 5. So quickly writing all these inside. This is not 1 and 3 because minimum is 1, maximum is 3. So which means this could be 1, 2, 3. So this is 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, and 8, 9. So once we have done this, I'm going to remove these corners. That would make the grid more clear and easier to follow, I suppose. 1 and 3, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9. And now you notice that these givens are going to help us progress. You have a 7 in here, so which means this cannot be 7, so that's 8 and that's a 9. Okay, so the next thing to do in this Sudoku is look at these 2 pencil marks and ask yourself, where does it go inside box 4? So you will notice that all these cells are starting from minimum 4, which means that these 2 digits 1 and 2 and 2 and 3 would have to be locked inside here. There are no other cells where these 2 can go inside this box in a sort of Sudoku style of way. So this would be 1, 2, 3 and this would be 1, 2, 3. So these 2 digits get locked in here. So they become 1, 2, 3. Okay, so look at row 8 now, and you'll understand that okay, so before I explain that, it's better to use range marking in this thermo to get a rough idea of what comes here, right? So let's start with it here. So minimum is 1, minimum 2, 3, 4, and this is minimum 4 again, right? But you'll notice that this is not possible. And the reason is, where does the 1 go in this row now? 1 obviously cannot be here, because if this is 1, then there is no valid value for this cell, so this cannot be 1. And obviously this also cannot be 1, in which case all these values would have to be 1, and that's simply not possible. So the 1 in row 8 has to be in one of these 3 cells, and it cannot be here, because then the bulb would have to be lower than 1. Not possible. So 1 goes in this cell, which means this is minimum 2, and that's what I wanted to explain. So this is minimum 2, minimum 3, minimum 4, and notice that if this is minimum 5, then this cannot have any value. So this is minimum 6, and this can again be 6, right? Digits can repeat. So these are the minimum possible values that this thermometer can take. And now let's go in the reverse way, start using maximum values. Maximum, this can be a 7, right? Because you have 8 and 9 here. And of course, this also can be 7, digits can repeat. And this can be maximum 6, this would be maximum 5, this would be maximum 4, right? So we have got our range marking here. And look how it is going to help us in the solve. We'll convert to center candidates. And be careful that none of the digits are left out. So this is 6 and 7, 6 and 7, this is 4, 5 and 6, this is 3, 4 and 5, this is 2, 3 and 4, right? And I'll just quickly remove these corners, 2, 4 and 6, 7. So you have a 6, 7 pair in row 8 now, and that eliminates the 6 from here. So this is 5, this is 4 and this is 4. You quickly get a chain in here. So this is 4, this is 3, 2, and this cannot be 3 anymore, this could be 1 or a 2, and because of this 2 here you have a 1 in here, and this could still be 1 or 2, we do not know it. And the fact that you have a 1 2 here means that this becomes a 1 2 pair, right? And using Sudoku we can mark 3 in one of these cells in box 4, and now you have a 2 3 in row 4 and 2 3 in row 5, which means the 2 3 in row 6 gets locked in here, right? Just by using Sudoku rules. Or a simpler way to see is in row 6 2 3 is eliminated from these cells, so which means 2 3 gets locked here. Okay, so moving on. So we have a 5 6 7 8 9 placed as digits in here, so this cannot be a 5, this becomes 3 or 4. And of course in the box digits do not repeat, so we do not need to worry about that scenario. So 4 is eliminated from here, the minimum gets reduced by 1, so this becomes 2 3. And now if you look at row 8, where does this cell go? It cannot be in any of these cells, it cannot be in any of these cells, so whichever comes in this bulb would have to be in this row at this point. So if this is 2, then this is a 2, and if this is 3, then this is a 3. And we know for sure that this is going to be less than that, so this is going to be 1 or a 2. And similarly this is either same as this one or less than this one, so which means this will also be 1 and 2. But 2 is not possible, so this becomes a 1. Interesting. Okay, 7 cannot be in column 9, 7 goes in here, so a bit of a classic to keep the solve moving, so 7 goes in here. So the fact that you have 2 or a 3 only here means that 1 and 4 must be in these 3 cells, and that removes the 4 from this cell. This is 5 or 6. And look where the 7 goes in row 7. 7 is restricted, so 7 would have to be here. It has to be in one of these 2 cells, but this given places the 7 here, and which means that this cannot be 6 anymore, so this is 7 and that's a 6. And this 7 gives us 8 here and 9 here. And now look where the 7 goes in row 6. There is only one cell, it cannot be here, it would have to be here. And using classic, 8 cannot be here and 8 cannot be here, so that gives me 8 in one of these 2 cells, which gives an 8 in one of these 2 cells. Okay, now let's use a little bit of range marking in this thermometer. Although it looks really short and at first glance might not actually convince you to go to this thermometer, but it actually helps. The fact is because you have 1 2 3 right away eliminated as the minimum values here. So let's start with this and use range marking. Minimum 4, minimum here can be 5, but that would break this cell, so which means this becomes minimum 6, this would be minimum 7, and this can still be 7, both can repeat. Now let's use the maximum. 9 max, this would be maximum. Remember, do not put an 8 here. This is again a place where people tend to break, so you should not put an 8 here, because as I said earlier, people who have solved a lot of thermometer Sudokus will instantly think that okay, 9 is here and 1 and 9 cannot be in the middle of a thermometer, so this is maximum 8. Never make that assumption here. It would break the Sudoku and you will ultimately land up with frustration. So this could still be a 9, right? Because digits, if you go along the thermometer, strictly speaking, digits are not decreasing, right? So you can have a 9 here. However, that is prevented because of this 9. So this cannot be 9. So this would be 8 max, 7 max, and 6 max. But you have a 7 here, which means 7 can be removed. So that leaves us only one choice for this cell. So that's a 6. And this is now a 4 or a 5, right? It should be less than that. So this can only be 4, 5. Okay, you have 7, 8 here, and this is 7, 8, 9, right? And if you look at row 5, you have 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. So you get sort of a triplet, the remaining cells. 7, 8, and 9, and 7, 8 pair, 2, 3 pair, 1, 6, and 9 gives me 4 and 5 here. So the next point to see is, look where the 4 goes in here. So you get a digit right away. 4 cannot be here, 4 cannot be here. Okay, these two cells must be 1, 2, 3, and 4, because you have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 here, and that gives you a quadruple in column 3. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 quadruple in column 3, and 7 and 8 here. So this becomes 5, 6, 9. This would be 5, 6, and 9. I think this would be a good place to start now. The fact is, even though it is really short, just like this thermometer, the minimum values are greatly reduced here, right? So let's start with this thermometer. So the minimum must be 5 here. Minimum is, again, can be 5 because digits can repeat. And this would have to be 7 because 7 is in one of these two cells. And the fact that this is 7 gives me a minimum of 8 in here. But at this point, you can ask yourself if this can be 8. If this is 8, there is no place for 8 in column 8, right? So which means that this cannot be minimum 8, this would be minimum 9. So, and that you can write the digit. There is nothing which is greater than 9, so you can write the 9 there. So which means this would be 8, that becomes 7, that becomes 8, that's a 9, and that pushes the 7 in here and gives me a 5, 6 pair here. I have a 9, so this is not a 9, so that's a 5 and a 6. Perhaps this would be an area to again start writing ranges, but let's try for bit here. Okay, this is not 7 or 8, so this is 5 or a 6, which means 8 must be in these 3 cells. And 8 cannot be here because that would push the 7 in here and break the puzzle, so this is not 8. So 8 is in one of these 2 cells. And the fact that this is 8 means this cannot be 7. This is 8 or a 9. And you have a 5 in here. So this is a 4. This is a 5. This 4 gives me a 5 here, a 6 here. And that 6 resolves this 5 and 6. 1, 5, 8. And 2, 6, and 7. Which means we can lock in 3, 4, and 9 in here. And you have a 5. So this means this would be 6. That gives me 5, and okay, you get something here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9. So this would be 6, 7, 8. 7 can't go here, and 7 is in one of these two cells, right? So this cannot be 8. Okay, this is, if this is 6 or 7, this can only be 7, 8 because it's in the same box. Okay, 6 cannot be in column 9 and row 7, so that gives me a 6 in here. Six can't be here. You have a 6, so this is 5 and 9. This is 1, 2, 3 for the box. And 4 in column 9 must go in one of these two cells. All just basic classic stuff that's taking us forward. Okay, I think it is time to visit this thermometer. Let's just use some range marking maybe. So this would be minimum 2, right? Cannot be 1, so minimum 2. And this cannot be 3 because that would break this cell. So this is minimum 4. 4 is also ruled out. Minimum 5, right? In fact, I think this can only be 5 because you cannot have 6, 7, 8, 9. So if this is minimum 5, it would have to stay put as 5. So this is 5. And this is minimum 5 again. This is minimum 6, right? Oh, this has to be a 5. Using Sudoku rules, there is no other place left for 5 in column 6. So this is 5, which means this is 6. This is not 6. Okay, so this has to be 1, 2, 3 and 4, and 1 and 4 are ruled out, so that's a 2, 3, and that gives me a 2, 3 pair in row 1 as well as column 6, and I can make use of that. So this would be 8 or 9 for the column, right? Okay, you have a 2, 3 pair here, so that gives me a 4 in here. That means this would have to be a 4. This becomes a 3, 9 pair. This is not 4. Okay, 4 can be placed in column 9 now because you got a 4 in here, and using that I can place the 4 here, which gives me a 3 here, giving me a 2 here, and the fact that this is 2, if you remember, this would have to be a 2, which means this is 1, this is 3, and we have set a wave. So 2, 3 gives me a 1 in here, a 4 here, a 2 here, a 1 here. 3 helps to resolve this 3, 9 pair. This 2 gives me a 1 here. Superb. 1, 3, 5, 7, 2, 4, 6. So we get an 8, 9 pair. This becomes 8, 9, which means this is a 5, giving me a 9. And okay, 3 can be placed in column 3. This is 3, which means this cannot be 2. This is 3, this is 2, this is 3, this is 2. Beautiful Sudoku. So 1, 4, 7, 3, 5, 6. So this would be 2. 2, 3, 4, 6, 1, 7, 9. We need 5, 8 in here. This is 5. So this would have to be a 5 and 8. Okay. Let's complete row 7. So these two cells must be 2 and 9. And 9 is in here. So that's a 9. And that's a 2. So column 4 is close to completion. So let's focus on that. We need a 1, 8 pair in column 4, right? And okay, this 9 is in here, so that would help us put an 8 here. So this is 9 and this is 8 and this is 9. This 8 gives me a 1 here, 8 here. This is 6, 7, 8. 2 is in here, so this is 1, and we can complete the last few digits in the grid, right? 1, 3, 7, 9, 2, 4, 5, 6 and 8, and this would be 1 and 7. So that's a 7, that's a 1, and the final digit must be a 3, and we have completed the Sudoku. What a stunning creation, I would say. And of course it is not difficult per se, but it is difficult in the sense that it can make you break, because when you solve a competition you tend to solve fast, and of course we have to be careful of the fact that 1 and 9 can be in the middle of the thermometer, which is the most important thing to remember in this Sudoku. So hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Thanks for watching. We'll be back soon again with a video. Bye bye.